In my last video, I told you 3 things I don't like about some sales training programs and how this training program was going to be different. Now, one of the things I mentioned was not a lot of fluff. This training is going to be practical and not have a lot of fluff. So I'm going to get all of my sales philosophy out of the way in my second video. In part 2 here, we're going to talk a little bit about my sales philosophy. Just give you a couple real quick things because I do think it's important that you understand the type of sales trainer that you're dealing with. What's my general sales philosophy? Number 1, I believe that sales ability makes a difference. Sales ability makes a difference. I believe that you can learn how to sell. And I believe that people who are effective salespeople, I believe that that ability makes a major difference in business. I talk to small business owners and large business owners alike on a regular basis. One of the things I found is that they're all looking for good salespeople. I had one of the first businesses I ever had was a business designing, putting up Christmas lights. We would install Christmas lights for high-end homes. People that have large homes would want us to come out and decorate their home for Christmas. When I had that business, I was personally out making the sales. And so I was closing new leads that I would get in at 40 to 60%. And after I left, I sold that business to my brother-in-law. And I recently spoke with him and helped him get a good salesperson in there to sell those leads. Because what they were finding was that even though they were great at running their business, they still needed to have a good salesperson to close the leads. Because that sales ability matters and sales ability does make a difference. And so I do believe in sales, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this sales training. But in today's market, you'll hear everybody tell you that, the day of the salesman is long past and, now it's all about what kind of content you have online and how you can reel people in. And I do all of that and that's important. And I'll actually share some of that in other training videos. But I want to make sure you understand that I believe in sales and I believe sales ability does make a difference. Number 2, I believe in making a plan and sticking to your plan. Make a plan and stick to your plan. That's part of my sales philosophy. We're going to show you a great script, a pitch that you can use to get more sales. But there's 2 parts to that. Number 1, you have to make your pitch. You actually have to have a plan. Write out your plan. What's your plan going to be? What are you going to say when you get to the merchant's location? And then number 2, you have to actually stick to your plan. You have to execute the thing that you said you were going to do in the first place. And so I believe in making a plan and sticking to your plan. Finally, number 3, I believe it's very important that you move from stage to stage in the sales process. Now let me explain what I mean by that. One of the biggest mistakes I find with brand new agents in the merchant services industry is that they walk into a business for the first time and their goal is to make a sale. Well, that's not the right goal that you should have. Your goal right now isn't to make the sale because that stage in the sales process, that takes place down the road a little bit. Now, you might make a sale on your first visit, but that shouldn't be your goal when you walk in the door. When you walk in the door, your goal should be to meet the business owner. That's your goal. Why? Because that's the first stage. Your first stage is to meet the business owner. Now, when that's your goal, all of a sudden it becomes easier to accomplish your goal because you're just trying to meet the business owner. You're not trying to make a sale. And so you won't be as nervous when you walk in because that's your goal. As soon as you meet the business owner, well, now you've achieved that goal, but now you have a new goal. Your new goal is to obtain a processing statement. Obtain a processing statement. So you want to meet a business owner, then your goal is to get the processing statement. It's still not to make the sale because before you can make the sale, you have to understand if you can save them money and if there's any value in this proposition for the merchant. So number 1 is to meet the business owner or to talk with them over the phone to get in contact with the business owner. And then number 2 is to get a copy of the processing statement so that you can do a cost analysis and a savings summary, whatever your company calls it. You need to know what is the value for this merchant. Number 3 stage is to present that cost analysis, and it goes on. And we'll talk about each of those stages in detail throughout this training. But the important thing to understand is that you have to move in stages through the sales cycle. You don't want to walk in with a goal of just making a sale. You have to go from stage to stage. Your first goal, talk to the business owner. Your second goal, get that processing statement. Your third goal, present the value to the merchant, etc., etc. And eventually, of course, closing the sale, installing the terminal, all the paperwork that goes along with that. All of those things will come in time, but it's too overwhelming if you go in and just say, I'm going to go make sales today. No, have a more specific goal of going in and pushing that merchant through, helping that merchant get to the next step, to the next stage. If you already been to a business and the owner wasn't there, or you called and you found out they were going to be in later on in the day, then that's your goal. Your goal is to talk to that business owner. So I believe in my part of my sales philosophy is making sure that you're going from stage to stage in the sales process. Now, with all that said, let's move on and let's start talking about prospecting, which is really the first stage in the sales process.